Hey there, everybody. It is no secret that a lot of you want to see game-ready asset tutorials regarding guns and other weapons, and trust me, I'm working on that. But with everything going on in the world right now, I think what we need is a little bit of magic. So today we're going to be creating a game-ready stylized wand, such as seen in the world of Harry Potter. So to get right into it, what we're going to do is create a cylinder and use this to block out the basic shape. Now you can find a reference image from whatever you want online and make two cylinders because these are going to be two separate objects. Now, no need to get too in-depth and detailed here. This is simply the canvas in which we're going to start painting on when we go into sculpting. Now, when it comes to sculpting in Blender, you really do need to create a base mesh to basically start working from. For a really long time, I was against that for some reason. I wanted to get right into it. I wasn't patient enough to set up my canvas and make sure I had a really good working environment to get things done. So if you're a beginner, perhaps you're a novice such as I am when it comes to sculpting, maybe even Blender as a whole, what I want you to do at this point is take a step back, breathe, and fall in love with the actual process and not the end results. You're going to learn so much more that way, and your results are going to be so much better. So once you're done blocking out the basic shape, what we're going to do is hop over into sculpt mode and then press Shift R, and this is going to give us a visualization for the size of our faces for the remeshing mode. Now what remeshing does, it basically takes all the data we have right here and it's going to remesh it with a different set of faces. It's an incredibly powerful tool. Actually incredibly powerful. Blender is an amazing piece of software. So once we press Shift R, kind of get it to a point we want it at, then we're going to go up to remesh to actually remesh this and make it take effect. Otherwise, nothing changed. Now, once we remesh that, we can start smoothing everything out. Pulling some shapes around with the grab brush to define our shapes a little bit more, refine those in before we get into the nitty gritty detail. And then eventually we're going to move in with the draw crease brush in this case to get some of that wood grain. Start basically identifying what this wood is doing, giving it a life. And as Bob Ross always says, there are only happy accidents. So really just let your mind run with this. And at the end of the day, if you don't love what you have, you can always restart. But my big point here is just have fun and again, fall in love with the process, because on your second or third attempt of sculpting stylized wood, you're going to have so much more experience and be able to deliver such a more incredible result. This is definitely not my first attempt. So that's the thing about these Blender tutorials, Blender videos out there, is you don't see the failures people have. So guys, it took hours and hours to make this video. Let's just say that. Okay, so take your time, relax, and get into it. Now, as you can see now, I'm really starting to add more detail into the wand, fleshing out certain areas of it, trying to give it life. These nubs, these cracks, these divots, really just refine those. Now with the draw crease brush, this is one of the most pertinent brushes I use for this, because you can it creases, but you can also hold down Control and give it that structure back to it. Basically, Control in this case is a modifier that inverts whatever your sculpting brush is doing. So again, guys, at this point, as far as poly counts and whatnot, we're just aiming for a level of fidelity that our computer can handle, knowing that we're going to come back in and retopologize all this, so then we can get it ready for a game engine. Now, if you want to see another video where we actually put this inside of maybe Unity or Unreal or Godot, maybe even in VR, and give it some actual functionality, then make sure to smash that like button right now. Go down, subscribe, and let me know down in the comment section. That'll have to be a whole other video, but it'd actually be pretty entertaining. I think to bring that into VR and make some magic spells you can actually cast around would be pretty sweet. But let me know if you do want to see that. So now at this point, we're kind of wrapping up the sculpting phase. So let's go ahead and start retopologizing. What retopology is essentially we're going to take all of those polygons and we're going to put a little shrink wrap over it. So I'm actually going to start again with a cylinder and just use a shrink wrap modifier with above surface and give it a little bit of offset to basically go over all of this geometry. Now our goal here is to keep as much of it within the actual low poly mesh as we can. You'll see throughout this time lapse that I do have a little bit of overlap, and it was okay in the end. I'll show you my baking settings once we get there. Just so you know, I do bake in Substance Painter later in this video. If you do not have Substance Painter, there are plenty of tutorials. In fact, I will link some in the description on how you can bake within Blender. No worries, you will be able to get through this without another piece of software. Okay, so as you can see, the retopology process is pretty straightforward. We're just going over this. Maybe I should do a more in-depth video on retopology later because, again, it is another pretty big topic. But again, we're just retopologizing this, watching a YouTube video in the background, just trying to not kill ourselves in the process and make sure everything's good to go. So now at this point, we're ready to do everyone's favorite part of modeling, which is the UV unwrapping. Now, I actually don't mind UV unwrapping. In fact, for this wand, it was a pretty simple process. We're just gonna set our seams in certain places, and this is essentially how you would unwrap a box. If you're not familiar with UV unwrapping or any of this really, maybe you really want to make your first game ready asset, maybe something a little bit less stylized, more realistic, go ahead and go down in the comment section below, and there you will find a link for my Katana course, or you can go to katanacourse.com. Now, this is a full program that will take you step by step on modeling and texturing this game ready katana in Blender and Substance Painter. Also included in the program is a dedicated coach, which is in my Discord. If you want to join the Discord, it's free, it's in the description, but this is a private paid channel where you do have a dedicated coach helping you overcome any problem you may encounter. Anyways, back to the wands now. At this point, we've UV unwrapped the wand. Now we're ready to take it into Substance Painter to do a bake. Now, we did a bake, and from here I started to do some texturing using filters and generators and masks, and essentially using the curvature baking info, we were able to get this pretty awesome stylized result. Now, again, if you want to learn more about this texturing and baking process, you can learn more about that in the Katana course, or check out some of my other free videos here on YouTube, because I do go over that in more detail. But simply put, you can see how easy it is and fun it is to model, then sculpt, retopologize, and texture a stylized game-ready asset. I mean, in total, this is maybe an hour's worth of work, and I think the result is pretty dang good for that. This was a fun one. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to crush that like button, subscribe. I really appreciate it. It really helps out with the algorithm and lets me make more Blender content to put here on YouTube. So anyways, you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.